the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
One white man named Lincoln supposedly fought the Civil War to solve the race problem, and the problem is still here. Another white man named Lincoln, again the same white man, issued the Emancipation Proclamation to solve the race problem, and the problem is still here. Some more white liberals came along with the 13th, 14th, and 5th Amendments, which were supposed to solve the race problem. The problem is still here. 9 years ago, 9 more white liberals, so-called, came up with what they call a Supreme Court desegregation decision, and the problem is still here. And then another white man named Kennedy came along running for president and told Negroes what all he was going to do for them if they voted for him, and they voted for him 80%. He's been in office now for 3 years, and the problem is still here. When the police dogs were biting black women and black children and black babies in Birmingham, Alabama, that Kennedy talked about what he couldn't do because no federal law had been violated. And as soon as the Negroes exploded and began to protect themselves and got the best of the crackers in Birmingham, then Kennedy sent for the troops. And there was no, he didn't have any new law when he sent for the troops when the Negroes erupted than he had at the time when whites were erupting. So we are within our rights and with justice, with justification, when we express doubt concerning the ability of the white man to solve our problem, and also when we express doubt concerning his integrity, concerning his sincerity, because you will have to confess that the problem has been around here for a long time, and whites have been saying the same thing about it for the past 100 years, and it's no nearer a solution today than it was 100 years ago.
Shalom, 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 my brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Let me straighten this out. One moment. One moment. Stick with me. There you go. Shalom, my brothers and sisters. I'm Elder AHAYAH of the Gathering of Christ Church, and you hear what Brother Malcolm just said, and he is right on. Speaking of that liberal media, I thought that I would do my announcements down the line in this broadcast. I said, you know what? I thank the Most High for another opportunity to be before you, brothers and sisters, with breath, life, health. I thank the Almighty that Elder Lawyer and his family was able to land safely in Zimbabwe during the hiatus of our Hebrew and Bible Academy. He's in Africa right now, and Elder Lawyer, if you hear me, bless you, my brother, and it's up to you. I know there was a long delay on the tarmac, and if you need to relax, don't worry about it. I can handle tonight. But if something spurns your spirit, if something interests you that you would like to talk about, you know what to do. Just call on in, and through Skype, and we'll chop it up. Now, I'm like, tonight, We all know the Hebrew and Bible Academy is coming November 10th, but I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about the Academy later. Everybody know what the Academy is, but I'm going to actually talk about that a little later. I'm jumping right in. And then after that, we'll open up the calls and we'll talk about this. I said, how do I quantify everything in a nutshell this evening concerning what's going on politically, and quantify it in a way that even the layman, one who doesn't understand the Bible or anything geopolitically at all, could understand? I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Let's break it down. Let's talk about it. And the Most High gave me this lesson, exposing the bloodline of the serpent. If you believe in Christ, if you believe in God, let me tell you, if you believe in nothing at all and want to understand what's going on in this earth, stay tuned. Stay tuned for this broadcast, exposing the bloodline of the serpent. Now, what has spurred me to actually dive into this? Well, folks, I've noticed for a long time, the government powers has been obsessed with the womb, and I'm speaking of what's coming out of the womb of our women. And I'm not just talking about modern day governments. They have this obsession with convincing our women to get rid of their children. And I looked into this and I said, you know what? There must be some biblical history that I can tie together to show their true intent behind reproductive freedom. I also want to help the research that Candace Owens has actually stumbled upon. I want to help her. I want to help her because she's on to something, but I don't believe Candace Owens understands the depths of what she's actually unfolding. I don't think she understands it. But Candace, if you fall on this particular lesson, I'm Elder Ricard Shaw of the Gathering of Christ Church. I'll be more than happy to come on and have a discussion with you. Because at the end of this, dear, going down this rabbit hole, I'm going to tell you, going down this rabbit hole, Candace, alone, without the God who've made you the daughter of Zion, it's going to be a challenging task. Because Candace, if you run into this, the more you keep digging, you're going to realize that you're going to have to question everything, even the religion your husband has exposed you to. But listen, I'm not one, brothers and sisters, to get in the way of one's awakening. Because it doesn't matter how someone starts that journey. I believe Christ is guiding their steps. And eventually we'll all come to the same place if it be the Most High's will. But I said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it together for those who don't believe, those who believe, and quantify what's going on politically and everything. And we're going to start with this obsession with the government's convincing our women to get rid of their babies. Why are they so obsessed with the black woman and the black woman's children? And sisters, you're going to have to wake up. I'm not speaking of those who are already awakened. There's a reason why they want you to go on your annual checkups, pap smears. Folks, I was living in the era in which they were outright experimenting on our sisters with Nordy plan, putting 6 rods in their arms, 6 rods in their right arm that would administer birth control. See, a lot of you don't know. Let me tell you, a lot of y'all, you new people coming up and all that in this current age, you don't even realize. A lot of you hear and continually hear about this thing about Tuskegee experiment as if that was the only experiment on our people. You newbies, let me tell you, since we hit the shores of America, they have never stopped experimenting on our people. We just came out of a pronounced experiment. But without any further ado, I need you all to hit the like button because we're going to quantify this and see if we could tie all loose ends so there's no question when it comes to identifying the connection politically in high places, the politicians' connections to the serpent, the dragon, the bloodline of the serpent is our discussion this evening, brothers and sisters. The bloodline of the serpent. And after I'm done, I'm going to make sure we get with some people and see if Candace can actually see this. Because she's on to something. What does Nimrod, ancient Nimrod, the Pharaoh of Egypt, Herod the Great, the British royal family, the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, the Bush's family, Barack Obama, all the way up to our current plant, Kamala Harris. What does all these, what we would look at as political figures throughout history up into our present time? Brothers and sisters, what does all of these I've just mentioned have in common? You're about to find out. Fair use for educational purposes only. Let's start here, and then we'll work our way back in history. grab some headphones here. Let's start with Kamala.
Vice President Kamala Harris and a crowd of her rallygoers mocked and trolled a pair of Christian students last week who protested against her abortion policies at a rally in Wisconsin.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Now, the two students have stood by their actions, and they accused the vice president of being hostile towards evangelical and Christian voters. Donald Trump later moved to capitalize on this moment during a rally in North Carolina on Monday.
Okay. Let me move off of Trump real quick. Because let's just deal with the fact that some Christians came to a rally where Kamala Harris was campaigning and shouted, Jesus, who we know as the Christ, YASHAYA is his Hebrew name, that Jesus is Lord. And this woman claimed that they were at the wrong rally. Right? That they to be go to the smaller one down the street. Well, if Christ isn't her Lord, who is? I hate to let the cat out of the bag so early, brothers and sisters, but our Lord is Satan. The only thing she's running on right now is reproductive freedom, which is what? The destruction of babies. Now, let me drop something on you all real quick. I'm going to pull this up for you so you all can see it. And like I said, hit that like button, folks. I'm going to slow walk this for you. Going to slow walk this. What do they all have in common? Well, let's go all the way back. This obsession with killing babies. On your screen, brothers and sisters, here's an image of Nimrod, Amraphel, the Cushite, the king of the Mesopotamia area, Sumerian king. His power stemmed all the way from Kuwait into Iraq, Ethiopia, and parts of East India. Cushite, Hamite. We are not Hamites. We're Israelites. Hamites would be the like of your modern day Kenyans, East Indians, those who look like Haile Selassie and or Barack Obama. Okay? All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Now, I'm going into history because some people have been deluded into believing that the Bible isn't a history book. Everything I bring today can be verified even through secular history. And that's what I'm going to bring tonight also. Well, Nimrod had this obsession with power. He was one of the few kings who began to build walls that would allow mankind at that time, in ancient times, during the ancient Mesopotamia area leading up to the Bronze Age. He had a talent of not just as a great hunter, but he would build great walls that would keep the giants out. He was known as the great hunter of God, the giant hunter. Now, because he protected those in these villages from these monsters, they paid homage and made him king over ancient Samaria. Now, this is where it gets interesting when we're tracing the serpent seed. At the height of Nimrod's rule, brothers and sisters, Abram's father, Terah, worked in his cabinet or council. Terah was very, very rich. Now, but Terah was holding the bloodline of the righteous. He was holding the bloodline of the saints. He is the father of Abram. Follow me here. So when Abram was born, the sages and the seers felt threatened by the son of Terah, based on an omen they seen, claiming that if they don't kill this baby, that through this child's bloodline there would rise a king who would subdue all races of people and eventually destroy the kingdom of Nimrod, who ruled the Gentiles in ancient times. Now, let me get it for you real quick. I'm going to slow walk this for you to understand government's obsession with getting rid of black women's children. And when I say black women, I'm not just talking about any black women. Because outside of white people, all people have hue or color. So Nimrod would have been considered what? He would have been considered a person of color. But he was obsessed with what? The true bloodline that comes through and creates the daughters of Zion. Our women are so unique in so many ways, they can't even quantify and understand their true power under the Almighty. And this is why the governments consistently concentrate on them. Now, not to make it long, because I don't want to stay on Nimrod long, I'm going to show y'all this real quick. In the book of Jasher, it reads, now the Bible refers to the book of Jasher. You have to understand the history of Nimrod is right here. Amraphel in the Bible. In the book of Jasher, it tells us, I'm going to blow it up so you all can see this. It says, and it was in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Terah and all the wise men of Nimrod and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes towards heaven that night to look at the stars. And they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and he swallowed up the 4 stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. And all the wise men of the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight, and the sages understood that this matter, and they knew this import. So when they seen the omen, they understood what they were witnessing in the stars. And they said to each other, this only betokens the child that has been born in Terah's this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all of the earth. He, not just him, folks, and his children forever. And his seed will slay great kings and inherit their lands. So when they seen this, the wise men and conjurers went home, and in the morning all these wise men and conjurers rose up early and assembled in an appointed house. They spoke and said to each other, behold, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the king. The king is Nimrod, folks. It has not been made known to him. And should this thing get known to the king in the latter days, he will say to us, why have you concealed this matter from me? And then he shall suffer death. Therefore, now let us go and tell the king the sight which we saw. Right? Or the king would kill him if they found out they knew already, right? So they go to the king. We have heard a son was born to Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of the host, and we yesternight came to his house. And we ate and drank and rejoiced with him that night. And when the servants went out from the house of Terah to go to the respective homes to abide there at night, we lifted up the eyes, and we saw a great star coming from the east. And the same star ran with great speed and swallowed up 4 great stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. Now let's see how Nimrod would deal with this. And now, our Lord King, behold, we are truly acquainted with thee, what we have seen concerning the child. If it seemeth good to the king to give his father value for his child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land. And evil increase against us, that we and our children perish through his evil. So they were seeking in a government council in ancient Mesopotamia, folks, to get rid of the problem before it could grow to age. The promised child of God, Abram. A government council in which their wise seers within the council is giving Nimrod advice to kill baby Abram, a newborn baby, in fear of not just him, but his children growing up, only to fulfill a prophecy to rule the world. To rule the world. Now, brothers and sisters, this is the reason. When Abram grew up, when you read the Bible, he went and tore down all the idols in Terah's house, his father's house. It explains why Abram isn't an idolater like his father. Because Abram was put away. He was given to Noah and Shem to be raised under the admonition and what? Understanding of the true God of all gods. He was raised to be the chosen, whom Christ would come through. He was raised to be that. He's our father, Abram. And the East Indians at this time under Nimrod were seeking to kill our father before he would grow to bring forth our Savior, the Christ. Are y'all following me here? Now, it happens again. Eventually, the Most High gives Abram the promise. He has two sons, preferably of blessing. Ishmael, then the blessing would go to who? Above all, Isaac. Ishmael is rejected, becomes the father of the Arab nations. Isaac becomes the chosen, bring forth 12 tribes, and now we save Egypt during a time of a flood. And after we save Egypt and make it a great country, down the line now, here we go again. The obsession with trying to kill the babies. I'm in Exodus, the first chapter. Exodus, follow me here. I'm in Exodus 1. Starting at 6. And Joseph died and all his brethren and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them. Now, what Nimrod feared came into fruition. The Most High would multiply us as the sand of the sea that cannot be numbered. And now the government of Egypt, non-appreciative of the people who have saved Egypt through a famine, through that saving Egypt, Egypt was able to consolidate all of the riches of the Mesopotamia area. Because guess what? You can have all the gold you want, but if you don't have grain, what good is it? So they was bringing in all of their gold and riches to sustain themselves in all the countries who didn't prepare during that 7-year famine that was shown through our God to Joseph. So instead of appreciating our people saving with our ingenuity their country, same as America, they'd rather take our patents instead of appreciating us. Same thing back in Egypt. We came up with the way to store grain and to preserve all of the world during a famine. And as soon as that king died off, that acknowledged our God, another king arose, and it wasn't Ramesses. That's a lie. It was never Ramesses. They come together and does what? And the children of Israel were fruitful, increased abundantly, and multiplied, waxed exceedingly mightily, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king, a new president, folks, over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and come to pass, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, because they knew they could, If you take down the weapons, they know they can't beat us hand to hand. They join also unto our enemies and fight against us. And so get them out of the land. So they conspired to move all of our people who are in political authority out of Upper Egypt into different areas to actually deal with tasks outside of government. That's politics, folks. The same way they move people who represent us in America out of political positions and bring in foreigners to represent us, same thing. Same thing. Therefore, they did set up over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharisee treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. Well, we know it wasn't Ramesses. It's speaking of a geography that would be there later, okay? It's speaking of an area that Ramesses would eventually be named later. Now listen to this, folks. So it doesn't matter, because the more work they put on us, we still had children. So what did they do? They set up the healthcare system. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. Nurses, folks. They would use nurses as the secret weapon. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, see them upon the stools, and if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it's a girl, daughter, she shall live. Because we can program her counter to the nation, and we can promote her being with other people to actually erase Israel out of existence through marital genocide. The softest way to kill a nation is to not have that nation born at all. See, the women don't declare the nation. The man does. See? Here is the ancient biblical understanding of why they're so obsessed with our women health care needs and scare them into going to the hospital and doctors all the time. This is why they're so obsessed, brothers and sisters, with our sisters in the healthcare system. They're obsessed with our women because they know the women are in a key position before the prophetic children of God are born. She's the master key for them. And if they can persuade her to get rid of the children, then their rulership continues according to their ideology, according to their religious understandings. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of you sisters out there may think, well, just because you have a child that's still considered black or mixed, that child is of your race. You are 100% wrong. And brothers who think this is 100% wrong. The nation and genealogy is reckoned through the Father. There is no such thing as mixed people. And that's why I'm quantifying this and breaking it down nice and slow so y'all can understand and get the whole picture before this presentation tonight is done. See, Satan is the author of confusion, not God. A nation is reckoned by the Father, period. So when we hear Biden right after getting elected in, if you want to think that that exactly happened, you notice he was on the phone, Biden, with some of our people and say that you're going to have to start taking cues from the Latino people and the other people, right? He says because, and then he said this, we have done the calculations that the white race will become the vast minority within the next 20 years. So the government under Biden are in what? They are in self-preservation mode. They have to spread their seed in order to continue being the smallest amongst all races. So when you see all of these people coming through and all that, folks, at the same time they're pushing getting rid of our babies. Folks, this is what a political genocide looks like, because all of these other nations are in agreement with keeping Esau's bloodline intact. Hence the reason even Kamala Harris's mother identifies as Caucasian. Understand the political war we're seeing right now with all of these nations that are coming in is in agreement with preserving Esau's bloodline to subdue us. And that's why I titled this The Bloodline of the Serpent. Many of our people, including Candace, and she's very close, she don't understand the biblical understanding or implications of what she's looking into. Why there's racial ambiguity with Obama, with Kamala, but it still comes down to benefiting the white race. Well, follow me. We've seen throughout history they have had an obsession with getting rid of babies, but not just any babies. The babies that comes through the bloodline of the children of Israel. And Candace Owens, I know you know. When the cameras were off, Kanye West told you that we're the children of Israel. And I know you believe, you know we are the people. But I'll tell you what, she's skillful enough to use her journalistic skills. So to not let anything get in the way religiously from her exposing pure evil. Now, this obsession with killing our children. Let's go to Esau real quick. Let's go to Esau. Now, Esau was the red man. There's no such thing as white people. There is no such people as white people. Okay? This is a variation of red, which is pink. This is white. So when I say so-called white people, let's make it clear. This is the variation of red. Okay? Let's make it clear here. The Bible says Esau came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Okay? So I'm going to make it clear so that we don't get confused here. Okay? Here's one of the old popes, John Pope II. John Pope II. Okay? Now, I like this picture in particular because it explains exactly what we are illustrating. As you can see, the Pope's cloak is red. Okay? His inside vesture is white. And his yarmulke on the top of his head, his Jewish yarmulke, is also white. He's red. Esau is the red man. Okay? There is no such thing as white people. And I'm doing this to illustrate this so that we can quantify everything I'm breaking down right now. Now, our people have a problem in believing that any people who have hue or melanin in their skin are of the same race. And that's what Esau is using against you. Nimrod would have been considered an East Indian, dark-skinned Cushite today. If he were living today, it's an entirely different bloodline. An entirely different bloodline who have aligned themselves with Esau to consolidate power with him against us. Now, for the sake of time, let's go straight to Esau real quick. Esau. Genesis 27. A matter of fact, real quick, let me just get this out of the way to show you Esau is the red man. He's not Japheth. That's another misnomer. Genesis 25 and 21. Going straight to it. It says, and the children struggled together within this woman, Rebekah. And she went to inquire to the Most High. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thine womb. That means eventually these 2 children will become 2 separate races on the earth. This is the beginning of the black and white race. Right here, Rebekah. And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So the first child that comes out first will one day serve the baby boy. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Here's the first who was meant to be a servant. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. He came out red, what? From head to toe. Not white. Now, if you know you were meant to be a servant, you would do anything to consolidate power and or seek revenge on your brother who you teach under Freemason ideology, the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. You teach us that our people, Jacob, the black man, received a promise that really didn't belong to us. And you people are here to set a construct to set the record straight. Because the firstborn should have received the whole earth, and you're going to do everything to make sure your children receives this to do what? To actually, folks, listen to me clearly, to actually change the prophecy. They must do everything to stop Jacob from multiplying to the number before their time is up. Now listen. Esau is the red man. So eventually Esau loses his birthright. He sold his birthright to our father Jacob. And on our father's Isaac's deathbed, listen to me, on our father's Isaac's deathbed, he gives Esau a blessing. Esau was so distraught after realizing that our father Jacob would receive the promise while he was out hunting to give Isaac his last meal to be blessed with the promise. Well, while Esau was out hunting, the Most High gave the blessing through Isaac to our father. Esau comes back. He's infuriated. Genesis 27. So this happens. He's infuriated. Genesis 27:18. And he came unto his father and said, My father. He said, Here I am. Who art thou? My son. And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau. So Jacob, having the birthright, came in and took the blessing also, because it was showed to our mama, the daughter of Abraham, that the elder shall serve the younger. So she knew not to allow Esau to receive the blessing while Isaac was on his deathbed. So let's see when Esau comes on the scene. Let's see when Esau comes on the scene now. This is when Isaac realized that Jacob came and got the blessing. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? I have eaten all before thou camest, and hast blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried, because he knew that now Jacob will one day be ruler of the earth, would control everything. He cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry and said unto his father, Bless me, O even so, my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named YASHAYA, Jacob? For he have supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. No, you sold your birthright, Esau. And behold, now he have taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all of his brethren have I given to him for servants. That means all races of people would need to serve Israel according to the prophecy. Now you see why all the Gentiles are rallying in the last days against us in these neighborhoods in Africa and different parts of the earth. and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do unto you, my son? What can I give you, Esau? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even also, O my father. O Esau lifted up his voice, he wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold. So, our father Isaac loved Esau. So he blessed him. Thy dwelling, Esau, shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live. He says, listen, Esau, I can't give you the land of Israel, the promised land. I can't give that to you. And folks, all the nations of Noah's sons has land allotted to them. Now, if you have two sons and only one plot of land, where must Esau go to survive? He must go to the mountains. And that's where he met Satan and the Canaanites and perfected the Canaanite religion for child sacrifice. Now, that's a whole nother lesson I'm going to show you all in a moment, but I'm going to quantify a lot of that in this presentation this evening. He says, you're going to live by the sword. So Esau, the only way you'll get land, you're going to have to slaughter for it. You're going to have to colonize for it. And shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion. So we know according to the Bible that Esau would have what? He would have empires ruled on earth. He would rule empires on earth. So the last two empires are Esau's. He was given the dominion. That thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. That means once Jacob sins and go against the commandments, the yoke is broken, and by default, Esau, you'll rule for a time. It'll be your turn. That's when it's your turn. Through Jacob's sin, the yoke will be broken off of your neck to serve him, and I'm going to reverse it. God would reverse it. You'll rule for a time, but it doesn't change the fact that Jacob will rule. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing whereof his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, listen to this, folks. The days of mourning of my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. So eventually, Esau's sons picked it up, namely Zepho, who became king over Shittim, which is Cyprus. He's still buried in AHAYAH, Cyprus right now. I know. I was there. He also became king of Italy. And he set up the first priesthood that would end up becoming the Roman Catholic Church after my forefathers, Candace Owens, your forefathers, lost Jerusalem in 70 AD. It was Zepho who set up the throne of the Vatican, the grandson of Esau in Italy. He later was recognized as the god Janus under the Greek gods, under the Greek pantheon of gods. Now, this is where it gets interesting going back to the child sacrifice. When you go to Leviticus 18, when you go to Leviticus 18 in the Bible states, and thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch. Neither shalt thou profane the name of God. I am the Lord. Now, why did God tell us coming out of Egypt not to deal with child sacrifice? Because these early deaths, these political deaths, are actually a sacrifice to the Canaanite god. This is how Esau pays in blood the god Satan, Samael, the Canaanite god, for giving him the wisdom to oppress and to continue to destroy the children of Israel. In exchange, they'll offer up our children. In exchange, they'll offer up our children. Now, I have a film I'm going to show you, an old film from 1933, here in America, that really highlights everything I'm talking about. But when we see reproductive freedom, Planned Parenthood, all of that is ritualistic sacrifices of Jacob's children to the gods of the Canaanites. The Vatican Church, the Catholic Church, is a continuation of the religion Esau found at Mount Seir, when Satan gave him the understanding of how to rule all of the earth, because it's Satan's power given him to rule until his judgment down here. Esau cannot have any power on earth unless Satan gives it to him. That's right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. After Christ's fast in Matthew, the 4th chapter, do you notice that Satan took him up to a high pinnacle and say, see all these kingdoms? I'll give them all to you if you bow down to me. See? Because it's Satan's power to give, because he's the prince of this world. So if you see Esau ruling, understand he's ruling under the same God he paid homage to, in resentment against the God of Jacob, who gave the promise and the birthright to us. So it's an exchange. So they have to bake it into their politics, getting rid of our children. Now, check this out, folks. What do we have here? They say if you want to hide something from the children of Israel, so-called black people, put it in a book. What are we looking at here? Huh? What are we looking at here? The Chronicles of Jeremiah. The Hebrew Bible history. Check this out. On page, well, this is page 83. It reads, look at this, right? Let me blow it up for you. Let me blow it up here for you. It reads here, Herodian is the name of the place. Hope you all can see this. Right here. Herodian is the name of the place which Herod the Great built, and in which he was afterwards buried. Herod was, as is well known, an Edomite by origin, a descendant of Esau. A descendant of Esau was Herod. Now, what's so deep about this history I'm showing you here? Herod was the king in place when Christ was born. And even in Jewish antiquity, they identify the governor over our people during the time of Christ's birth was a so-called white man, a politician put in place to kill Christ. And I got these sources, Candace. I'm going to slow walk it for you because it's way bigger than finding out who Kamala's great-grandmother was. You're doing a great job. But let me tell you, you're cracking a lot of little nuts around here with what you're going into. But I'm going to give you the big picture. Herod was a well-known, he was an Edomite. He wasn't just any Edomite. He was from the Antipater family that converted into Judaism during the 2nd century BC. Under Hyrcanus, the Maccabees. So this is your big Edomite conversion to now infiltrate us politically, to become a governor over us. He even married a black woman, Herod did, and had children with her. See? So they always try to mingle next to us politically, but really what is their plan? Well, here was their true plan according to the Bible. Why was Herod in place? And we're talking around this time, around 4 BC. Well, when you go to Matthew, the 2nd chapter, here's our Christ, Candace, brothers and sisters. Now, when YASHAYA was born in Bethlehem in Judea in the days of Herod the king, and behold, there came a wise men from the east to Jerusalem. More wise men, more sages, similar to what happened with the Babylonian East Indians during the time of Abraham in the ancient days, saying, where is that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen a star in the east and are come to worship him. And when Herod, the Edomite now, the king, had heard these things, he was troubled. Why would he be troubled when the king or the savior of the world is born? He was troubled because he understood the prophecy concerning Jacob and Esau, that the elder was meant to serve the younger, and the promised child who would take Rome's rulership has now been pronounced in the earth by the sages. The black child who would threaten white power. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes, people together, he demanded them, where is Christ? Where Christ should be born. So you all know what happened. He told the wise men to go find Christ. An angel came to Joseph and said, listen, take your son over into Egypt and hide there for a time until Herod is dead. Because Herod isn't isn't seeking to bless and gift the child. He's going to kill the boy. Same thing we see with Pharaoh. The same thing we seen before Pharaoh with Nimrod. Now the same thing with the Edomite politics government, obsessed with Mary's womb, seeking to kill the baby, the promised child who comes out of her. The black woman. So let's see what Herod does when he realizes that Christ has escaped. Matthew 2:16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem. Look how cruel he is. These are what? Ritualistic sacrifices to the Canaanite god, folks. And in all the coast thereof, for 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, in Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation. Lamentation is crying, and weeping, and great mourning. Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. A government decree to get rid of every child 2 years and back. At the same time, there's a conversation amongst the current political establishment to get rid of children even after they're born. Man, y'all doing a great job here. We got 2,600 people in. That's enough people. But if you haven't hit the like button, do me a favor and just hit it for me real quick. All right? While I go through this. I appreciate it. Now, this is where it gets quite interesting. Check this out. Now I'm going to play something for you all in a couple of moments concerning the research Candace has done on Kamala. And at the end of the day, based on this research that Candace has unsurfaced, Kamala is Jewish. Okay? Not because she's married to a Jewish man. Bloodline. Through her bloodline, she's Jewish. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to show you all in a moment. But here's something else that's quite interesting. Here's something else that's quite interesting. Before her, we had Barack Obama. Former President Barack Obama and George W. Bush, and folks, this is mainstream media. This ain't alleged here. Story by Jamie Lerner. Former President Barack Obama and George W. Bush have more in common than we thought. It's not uncommon to see multiple people from the same family join the same profession. And this is obviously true of U.S. politics. America has its fair share of political royal families, including the Kennedys, the Bushes, and the Clintons. What might surprise some people, however, is that George W. Bush and Barack Obama actually have some family ties as well. See? Shh. Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. Why I was truly raised, being a Cushite, have nothing to do with black people. So I'm part Cushite through my Kenyan family. And I'm Edomite also on the other side of the family. Cush leaning directly back to Nimrod, who wanted to kill the child. And he's mixed with Esau, who also had a task under the serpent to kill the child. What might surprise some people is that George W. Bush and Obama actually have some family ties. So what is the connection there? Well, former presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush are related. They are 11th cousins. They are what? Family. Now, folks, you really want to see how crazy this is and tying it all together? Look at this. Here's a report from really a Christian site that cites secular and or biblical references. Then when Herod saw that he had been tricked by the Magi, he became very enraged and sent and slew all the male children. See, when you go into another interpretation, folks, they weren't slaughtering just any children. They wanted to focus on the male children, like Egypt, who were in Bethlehem and in all its vicinities, from 2 years old and under, according to the time when he had determined from the Magi. And guess what? It goes into the secular history of how wicked Herod was. Now, I need y'all to see this. What do we have here? What do we have here? I think I pulled this record out. Man. What, 10 years ago? In the academy? What do we have here? What do we have here? We have the bloodline of George Bush. Look what we have here. From 333 BC, Philip of Macedonia. I gotta blow this up, folks, so y'all can see this. I gotta blow this up. Alexander the Greek, who split his kingdom under 4 generals. Cleopatra, which was really the great niece of the Ptolemies. She's an Edomite, folks. You go all the way down, and look who we got from Alexander the Greek. Herod the Edomite, who was tasked under the serpent to kill the chosen child of Israel, Christ himself. Herod the murderer, who murdered our people, who tried to kill Christ, was an Edomite, according to their history. Let's go all the way down, bloodlines, and who do we have here? I'm I'm going to show y'all. Look down here, and we have who? Look at this, folks. Franklin D. Roosevelt. M. James Smith Bush. Samuel Prescott Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush, who's also related to Barack Obama. Now, do you see their obsession? Why they're so obsessed with abortion? The bloodline of Esau. Folks, I've been tracking the bloodline of Esau for probably around 20 years. He's very ambiguous in how he operates and hide himself amongst each civilization he's actually circumvented or took over altogether. He's very good with mixing up history to make you believe he never existed. Oh yeah, we cooking. Revelation 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she cried, being with child, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. Now we know the 7 heads represents the 7 mountains of Rome. The 10 horns represents the EU, the original 10 countries that made what? The power structure of the Roman Empire. And his tail drew third part of the stars of heaven and cast them into the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So it wasn't just Herod there, folks. Satan was with Herod. See? Because they were going to do a ritualistic Canaanite sacrifice to Moloch to give Esau permanent power on earth. And she brought forth the man child. This is our Savior, our Christ, whom they hate. Whom Kamala said the other day, you're in the wrong place talking about him. Go up the street. Who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and his throne. So after they couldn't kill Christ, guess who they came after? Us. And the woman, that woman is the children of Israel, fled into the wilderness. We went into Africa. We became the Moors. We went to different parts of Spain, where she had placed prepared of God, that they may feed her 3,203 score days. That's the time period Esau would have to rule before his time is up. We ran into Africa. We were sold into slavery. And now the Most High has awakened the children of Israel to let us know our rightful place in this earth as who? The chosen people of God. And now that we are responding to God's call, the heavens are now working with us against all the governments that have oppressed us. And folks, that's why you see the immigration thing. That's why you see the armies ramping up, because folks, it's ramping up for the final head-to-head battle between Jacob and Esau. But Esau doesn't play fair. What he's seeking to do is a what? Using the health system to weaponize that as a genocide to get rid of our children before we multiply in numbers that could actually be effective in that head-to-head battle. The Bible teaches us this. Also in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it tells us that he's going to put Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. He's going to place us in the desert, for the final battle of Armageddon against Esau. And we're going to win. And see, the nations that are operating with Esau, they're cowards straight up, because they know that they're being used to undermine and to genocide us. But they're running around amongst us playing dumb. When everything, all their moves politically and all of that, folks, were and are intentional. Now, this is why Christ says what? Christ pointed them out. Even Christ pointed them out. He says, point out the Antichrist amongst you, and you'll know who's on the other side against you. Christ told the churches, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. They're the serpent people, the chief house of Satan, practicing the religion Esau obtained from Mount Seir, from the Canaanite god. And as a part of their religion, the child sacrifice, according to God, according to the Bible that we read of in the Old Testament, is required for those who serve the serpent. Candace, if you're out there, I know you see it on one level, Candace. If you're out there, you see it on one level. You're going against the Jewish people and all that, but let me tell you, it's bigger than that. As you can see on the top of the Pope's head right here, he wears the same headdress as Jewish people. Let me blow this up so they can see this. Huh? So she got to stop this thing about thinking it's just about Jewish people. He's wearing the same headdress as Jewish people. Okay? So, hey, I will never discourage Candace's research. It's impeccable. A matter of fact, I think she should receive a Pulitzer Prize. A Pulitzer Prize, excuse me. She should receive a Pulitzer. Because at least she's doing real journalism. But if she think it stops at them and not the Catholic Church, she has another thing coming. Oh, yeah. For those who think that the Catholic Church and the Jewish religion at the helm is separate, I need y'all to do this. Go into your Jewish encyclopedia. Look up Khazars in your Jewish encyclopedia. In your Jewish encyclopedia, it'll tell you that the Basilians of the Catholic Church in the 2nd century AD went into Khazaria and became the Khazar priesthood. So who you think are a separate people are just an extension of the Roman Catholic Church. The Khazars converted into Judaism between the 8th and the 11th century, being pressed on either side, and that's when they began to practice Judaism. And these are the Jews we predominantly see in America and in the Western Hemisphere today. But they all stem from the Catholic Church. And these Jews didn't convert because they had some attachment to the ancient people when it comes to the practice of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Moses and others. They more so converted for political reasons, as they did during the time of the Maccabees. So if you're out there, Candace, understand, if you keep digging and keep digging, you're going to find yourself, that's right, side-eyeing who brought you that religion in the first place called Catholicism. And that's your man. That's why he don't even mind you going on a witch hunt, exposing Jews. But if you keep on this, you're going to realize it all began with the Catholic Church. The Jews of Khazaria were the Basilians that were sent as Jesuits out of Rome, out of the Vatican, to assume different identities in the Khazarian area before converting into Judaism. They're still Catholics. They're still Catholics. Okay? Now, this is fair use because there's some real good stuff here that I want to, that only she can explain. Brothers and sisters, this research is impeccable. Right? Because there's the majority of things that she's diving into as far as understanding the attack against those who believe in Christ, folks, that's 100% correct. And this is why the Western world, in America in particular, through taxpayers' dollars, are incentivizing those who would come over with a different religion outside of those who believe in Christ. Folks, that's intentional. This is a holy war, a spiritual war. They'll pander to the Muslims because the Muslims bring what? A different God than those who believe in Christ. And they work what? To undermine us. There's always been a religious war against those who believe in Christ and Muslims. See? So they've incentivized, they've paid Muslims to come over to become a constituency amongst us to undermine and or destroy us. The same thing with the Hindus. Notice they're choosing religions or choosing people who believe in nothing at all. If they're going to get some of our people over here, these are going to be people who are what? Usually, I'm speaking of the gangs and all from prisoners and all these people are straight evil. Even if they believe in Christ, even if they claim to believe in Christ, they're following some whacked out superstition in their belief that goes back to killing and pillaging. It's all intentional, folks. It's the plan of the serpent against the child. Since they could not kill the baby, Christ, they turned their sights against the people who brought him forth. Hold up, before I go there, I got something else for you, Candace. This is a historical pageant of 1933, 15 years before, the restoration, or the Europeans were able to get get Israel as a state. Check out this pageant that was going on in the United States, folks. A mock child sacrifice of Moloch in 1933 in Chicago at the World's Fair. At the World's Fair. Check this out. Tell me this isn't insane. Look at this. Now I need y'all to check this out. In 1933, when our people were fighting just to be treated human here in the United States, they're doing mock sacrifices to Moloch. What do we integrate into? And then we all know about what happens in San Francisco at the Bohemian Grove, where they do mock sacrifices at the Bohemian Grove called the cremation of care. And what elected official is coming out of San Francisco right now? The cremation of care is mock sacrifices that the elite does privately amongst themselves. An old sacrifice that Esau learned in the mountains, worshiping the God. So now they're doing mock things, but folks, when it comes to our people, it isn't mock at all. When they pull up a bus or an abortion van in front of the DNC during the rallies, that's not a mock. And that's why I wanted to expose the bloodlines of the serpent, because their true plan is to get rid of the chosen children of God before the promises that was given to us prophetically are fulfilled. You'll never see a time where any administration that's connected to our people or claim to be for our people isn't going to also bake into legislation. Well, we're going to help you out. We'll give you a few things, but we're going to need some of your children, especially the boys. A matter of fact, your boys are a little bit rambunctious. They're moving around too much like boys usually do. Maybe we'll pay you to medicate your son out of existence. Huh? Now let's go here before I open up the calls. Fair use.
I can think of nothing more fitting than the news that Eminem is going to open for Barry Soetoro tonight or in Detroit on behalf of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. All of these people are just playing pretend, and you're never going to guess what has happened this time. So a woman that lives in Canada who is related to Kamala Harris reached out to me about their family, and this woman has kept records dating back to the 17th century. I'm not kidding. When I saw this document, I was like, I just need to get my life together, because this woman knows her ancestry in a way that is just impressive. She was so thorough. And she has confirmed that Kamala and Donald are certainly lying about at least one aspect of their heritage. They're hiding something. Stay tuned and welcome back to Candace. His entire life, he's incredibly secretive, and now I can confirm that he has lied. I mean, we always suspected it when he said, heritage unknown to me about his grandmother. We always suspected he was lying, but now I can certainly confirm that to you, and I'm going to tell you how. So we had done this show a couple of weeks ago where we briefly touched upon the fact that there was some evidence, some strong evidence that pointed to the fact that somewhere along the line Kamala had Jewish ancestors. Specifically, we had said that her great-grandfather was potentially Jewish, and that we knew that her great-grandfather's brother, which would have been like her great-great-uncle, whatever it was a man named Michael Harris, who was registered as a Freemason in Jamaica. And we sort of parked that aside because, of course, a lot of swirling questions. First and foremost, I guess if you go long enough into anybody's ancestry, everybody becomes everything, right? You can say, oh yeah, and then on this side of the family, if you trace it, this person's English and Jewish, whatever. But I couldn't, I guess, come to a conclusion in my own mind as we've been doing this series. And I know you guys are probably thinking the same thing. Why is Kamala hiding aspects of her heritage? Like, why would you need to hide that you're Jewish? It doesn't make any sense. We just had Trump in office. Ivanka was very involved, obviously, in the administration. Jared Kushner was involved in the administration. This isn't a country that's going to go, oh my gosh, well, she's married to a Jewish man, so it didn't.
Okay, for those who are fairly new into this or don't understand what she's saying, there's a direct difference between being an Israelite and being Jewish. So what she's stating is that Kamala is a part of the Jewish faction who doesn't believe in Christ. Okay, religiously they work against Christ. They don't believe in him. A matter of fact, in that religion, they actually resent Christ when you read the Talmud. Now, understand, if someone is a Jewish person who don't believe in Christ, well, how do they feel and think about you, and what rules do they have in particular when it comes to how they interact with Christians? Okay? You have to think about that. So when we say, when she say Jewish, don't get it confused. What you see here isn't Jewish. We're Israelites according to the bloodline of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Any person, even a full white Irish or Polish person, can convert to Judaism through a 5-year process. And sometimes if they have connections, it'll take less time than that and become Jewish. You can't convert into being an Israelite. That's the difference. That's a nationality. When it comes to the families that came out off the ark, we're from the direct lineage of Noah, Shem, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel. We're not black. That's not a nationality. We aren't black. We're Israelites. We lost our identity. But now the Most High restored it back. Kamala isn't an Israelite. She is Jewish. She's Esau. Okay? And the majority of those that we see today would be from the family of Amalek, out of Esau. And you see what Herod did, being from the Amalekite family, seeking to kill the baby through what? Through government policy.
didn't make enough sense for us to explore that route. But then we received this email, okay? And I'm just going to, I guess, at first read to you. I actually received 4 emails. Obviously, we're hiding this woman's identity, but she is a member of the Harris family, and I'm going to read you this email that she sent me. She wrote, "Hi, I wanted to reach out. My name is blank. I saw your podcast about Kamala's Jamaican heritage. She's related to me, a 4th cousin, but my grandfather is Michael Ralph Harris. He was an only child. My great-great-great-grandfather and her great-great-great-grandfather were brothers. The picture on your podcast is my grandfather and my grandmother, not hers." Don't worry, guys. I'm going to show you a chart so you can follow this along. Also, the Michael that immigrated to Canada was my uncle, my father's younger brother. His name was actually Mikhail. I have attached the picture from my grandparents' wedding day. It is on my mantle. And then she followed up and said, actually, our great-great-grandfathers were brothers. She made a mistake. It wasn't 3 times. It was great-great-grandfathers. And I'm also going to show you the photo that she attached here of her, because you might recall it from a previous episode that we showed. And she shows that this picture is on her mantle. So I had every reason to believe her. It was a picture that we showed, and she says, okay, these are my grandparents. And we again did show this as potential great uncle of Kamala Harris that was Jewish, named Michael Harris. And she's saying, well, Michael Harris didn't have any siblings. So this was of tremendous interest to me, because she not only included this, she also sent to us 5 pages of her family tree, like just a document where she was showing who was born when, dating all the way back to the 17th century. It was actually, like I said at the top of the show, it was incredible. She even had how some people died, and she just had the Bravo Harris line, which we had suspected was Kamala's family, but we weren't certain until this woman emailed us with this documentation. And I mean, she just had more receipts than you could ever ask for. She was very thorough, which, by the way, Jewish people are known to really take charge of their ancestry in a way that is quite remarkable, and in a way that I think we all should be mirroring and mimicking. And so I just want to show you the chart that she produced, because it gave us clarity. I mean, look at this. This is just 1 page of the document that she sent me, so you can see how thorough this woman was. And she is saying right at the top of this document, you have a Henry Harris, and that is the shared great-great-grandparent that she has with Kamala, that her then you can see Henry Harris had 2 kids, right? Henry Harris had a Joseph Harris and a Ralph Harris. Again, I'm going to show you a visual chart, so you don't need to try to stay up with everything that I'm saying right now. There's a lot of names, but essentially Joseph and Harris were brothers. And she's saying that Kamala descends from the Joseph line, while her family continues on to the Ralph line, and that they were Jewish. So I'm now going to show you a chart, because we worked all this out. This was tremendously helpful, and we were able to make sense of everything for the first time, because it's difficult with Ancestry.com. You don't know what's real and what's not real. But what we were able to determine after speaking with her is, she said, my family they were Sephardic Jews. And so this is the chart of Kamala's side that she's speaking about. Again, I'm giving you a visual chart because it just helps, because there's so many names. But right at the top there, you have Henry, and then you have Joseph. This is where she says Joseph and Ralph. These were Ralph is her line, Joseph is Kamala's line. And you see this, and you can see you've got a Joseph Harris, an Albert Harris, a Joseph Alexander Harris, who allegedly married Miss Chrissy Brown. And then you have Oscar, and then you have Donald. And then at the bottom there, we have Kamala. So this is just what we are showing is that paternal line straight from Henry Harris. And what's remarkable is I sort of went, okay, so you're telling me that your family were Sephardic Jews. Let me look more into this Jewish angle. It would be very, again, strange if she's hiding this, but let me go ask Kamala's relative that I've been in contact with, whether or not he can confirm to me that their family is Jewish. Like, he should be able to tell me about his grandfather. He should be able to tell me about, Oscar Harris. These people were all alive recently. We don't need to go that far back. Is Kamala's family Jewish? So first and foremost, I want to say the woman in Canada says they do not agree with Kamala's politics at all. That is why she reached out. She said it's an absolute fact that Donald is lying in his piece in Jamaican Global Online when he says heritage is unknown to him, that is an absolute lie, and that their family believes that they are intentionally blackwashing the Jewish parts of their identity. So where Kamala is Jewish, they are inserting this sort of nebulous black ancestry that doesn't actually exist. And like I said, she keeps records. She has kept them all. And she's saying they are Sephardic Jews. So when I followed up with Donald's direct relatives who I have been communicating with, they confirmed that what she says is true, and it's nothing that they're ashamed of. They don't know why Donald is not telling the truth about the fact that Oscar Harris was a Syrian Jew. Unbelievably, a Syrian Jew. Oscar's father, Joseph Alexander Harris, was a Syrian Jew. So this family is Jewish, okay? Then it kind of occurred to me that we've actually only been given one picture of Oscar Harris, okay? And it's quite strange because despite the fact that her book has colored images all throughout it, Kamala Harris decided to colorize, to turn the photo, which looks like it was a colored photo, into black and white of Oscar Harris. And so that kind of gives him, and we can show this photo up close. Yeah, that kind of gives him, we're like, okay, I don't know what color he is. Like maybe he's brown. And I guess we're supposed to believe he's brown because we're being told that Donald Harris is black. Somehow we're not clear on that. But it is of interest that they've only presented this one photo, and we are just led to believe that he's brown. And so I asked Kamala's relative, I said, out of curiosity, okay, you're telling me that his father was a Syrian Jew. You're telling me that there's no question that Oscar Harris was Jewish. So what color was his skin? Was he brown? And he said, no, he was extremely fair skinned. Like he like white passing. Oscar Harris was white passing. And you don't get that from that image. So once again, we have a circumstance in which she's blackwashing things. Very, very strange. So Oscar Harris is in fact fair-skinned, and the evidence is pointing to, and there's no question, it's not even evidence, like nobody can dispute this, Snopes can't dispute this. Kamala Harris is Jewish, and she's lying, or not lying, but not addressing the fact that she's Jewish, which is extremely strange. In fact, the person that I'm speaking to in Kamala's family says that the only person that had any melanin, like in all of Oscar's relatives, brothers, children, is Donald. And that is quite strange. Donald is the only person that has a darker complexion, which is why she doesn't colorize him or transform his photo into a black and white photo, because they're trying to push this idea that she is black when in fact she isn't. And I believe that it's because he's Hindu somewhere. And the relative told me that's part of the reason that they think that Donald sort of started leaning into this sort of Marxist race stuff, because he was the only person that had a little bit of color and was treated differently than the rest of his relatives. Very, very strange, and something that is definitely worth exploring, especially given some more of the things that Judge Joe Brown told me. I know that we really should take a closer look at that. It's a weird thing to lie about, is what I would say. There's no reason, there's no clear reason as to why you would take a piece of your family that is Jewish and try to make people believe that they are black. And this woman in Canada also made it clear to me, this relative, that it's also strange to them that she's lying about the fact that that lineage, that the Jewish lineage, then married into the slave owning lineage, which would be the Browns. They established the town, and they have just a plethora of evidence and documents supporting that, while they pretend to the public that they're like, it's unknown. By the way, a little tidbit that Judge Joe Brown gave me off record was that Jamaican Global Online piece that we read, it's been changed. That actually there was a print of that, and it was then lifted and put online. And when it was put online, it was changed, and that he has the original somewhere in his attic. I was like, I will go through your attic for 3 days. He's like, yeah, it was in the attic. Like, my ex-wife had it in our attic. I know it's somewhere. I was like, please, Judge Joe Brown, let me into your attic. I will search through every single document to find this. But there might be somebody out there that maybe collects. I thought Jamaican Global Online was literally just online, but apparently there's actually a print of that, who may have that in their possession. So I don't have to go through the judge's attic, but I'm willing to do whatever. I'm totally willing to do whatever. Okay. Now cutting to the other aspect of this that we're looking into as we drop all of these little nuggets along the way. So you remember Dorothy, obviously, this loving, bubbly Jamaican woman who was just so kind and kind towards Kamala. She very specifically recalled having grown up rather affectionately with her grandma Beryl, and also Beryl's wealthy son Kenneth, that is Donald's brother. Kenneth is also extremely fair-skinned, who gave her bike rides, and so we know that he had money because it was like a Harley Davidson. Well, apparently Dorothy is now being harassed for telling the truth. That's at least what Lady Colin Campbell has shared, as well as Lady Colin Campbell. Like, people are just freaking out because how dare you tell the truth when we're trying to blackify this woman? How dare you tell the truth that something's not right about Beryl? But there was something else that she mentioned that we were able to look into and determine the truth about. So Dorothy had told us that aside from having plagiarized a black woman into her book, because that was not Beryl, she mentioned that while Beryl was light-skinned and possibly Irish, she had a sister that was even more light-skinned than her. So I know that we've been thinking this entire time that this part of the family may have been Irish. Now I'm wondering if there's maybe they're Jewish. Who knows? Because like I said, I'm trying to piece together what it is that she's lying about. But we did learn Beryl's sister's name, okay? We know for a fact that Beryl's sister's name is Norma. So we began looking for a Beryl Norma sister combination. By the way, I'm very shocked by how many barrels there were in Jamaica. We're trying to find them within the right timeline. And thus far, we have only been able to find in the Kingston Gleaner, remember that was the only newspaper at that time, one Beryl Norma sister combination. I want to be
Okay, let me make this clear. Soupbone, we warned you more than once not to disturb our broadcast. If you don't want to see what's going on, find another channel, or you're going into gigabyte land. You'll only get one warning.
Clear. If this could be a lead, it could not be a lead. I'm just presenting this to the public because I found it to be of some interest. It was an obituary in the Kingston Gleaner dated in 1976 for G.V. Ramsey. Now, don't even get me started on the fact that this guy, G.V. Ramsey, looks like I was vaguely recalling this face. Now, obviously, it's very grainy, but I'm going to just say right off the bat that it looks like a Finnegan from Joe Biden's family. Joe Biden had some interesting relatives, but I'm going to save that for later this week. But just looking at the face, I found this guy, G.V. Ramsey. Again, this could not be right. All we have here are two names, but this is a person that we at least know served in both World Wars. It says Mr. G.V. Ramsey. Again, that stands for Gladstone Vernon Ramsey, a veteran of World War I and II, and a former quarantine officer in the Ministry of Health.
Well, what I wanted to pull out of that, and thank you for hitting the like button for me, brothers and sisters. What I wanted to pull out in particular is that the fact that the research, when you look at the research in a nutshell, Kamala's father, who could actually just speak, he's living now, and clear everything up. He's definitely silenced right now for some reason. Could clear it up. But the reality is with the research, he's Irish and East Indian. Period. With a family with a long line of history of owning slaves. And then on the other side, when you look at Kamala's father's father, Jewish. He's a Jewish man. And that means even though she has an East Indian mother, she's Hindu on her mother's side, and she's Jewish on her father's side, according to the research. That's why this is not a mixed couple right here like you think. This is not a black woman who married a white Jewish man. This is a Jewish woman who married a Jewish man. Now, let me make this clear. If she had the best interests of our people in mind, I could care less whether or not she was Jewish, East Indian, or anything else. If she was coming with the benefits that she gives immigrants, Ukraine, Israel, and take these stupid talking points off the table, because nobody cares about no stinking insulin. No one cares about some stinking marijuana. No one cares about you aiming towards destroying our children like all of your people have done through history. Now that we've done the research, those who are related to Herod the Greek, who's also an Edomite, who comes from a long line of families who converted into Judaism. So we could care less about what family she come out of, but you notice how they use these ambiguous people to deceive us politically over and over again. There are never anyone who have grown up with us, who we can relate to, who we have a hit. They bring these people with ambiguous history from someplace else intentionally to undermine us, the same as Pharaoh, the same as Herod, the same as Nimrod. And it's time our people wake up. Because why? Even though we are confused concerning the intentions of these people, history bears out their true intentions. Their true intentions is to destroy our people before the prophecy comes upon them. And that's the judgment for them disobeying our God and destroying God's people. Now, for those who missed it earlier, let me show you this. Look at this picture right here. For those who missed it earlier. From Nimrod all the way down to Herod, they all had one thing in common: child sacrifice, to legislate the killing of our children before they grow into their spiritual purpose on earth by God. Look at this guy. Look at her. What do they have in common? They come from somewhere else. These are Hamites. Hamites mixed with Edomites. It was a Hamite by the name a Pharaoh of Egypt, who was a Hamite who sought to kill Moses at birth. It was a Hamite by the name of Nimrod who sought to kill Abraham at birth. Then you had an Edomite who sought to kill our king, our Christ, by the name of Herod at birth. Right? But then when you look at the family tree, let me show you here. I'm going to pull it up for those who missed it. For those who missed it, I'm going to pull it up again before we open up the lines. I showed this years ago. Here's the Pharaoh's dynasty of the 17th dynasty, right? When you look at the George W. Bush family line, look at this. Philip of Macedonia, Alexander the Great. Down to Alexander the Great, you have what? Keep on going. You have, let me get her right. One second. You have who? You have Herod, who was tasked under the serpent to come after Christ at birth. When he couldn't kill Christ, the Romans pushed a legislation through Herod to kill all of the boys 2 years of age and backwards from the time Herod sent the wise men to find Christ. Abortion, anybody? Herod. Then you go all the way down, same bloodline of Esau, and we find who? Now, when you look at the research of Herod, let me get it here. The research of Herod, Chronicles of Jeremiah, the research tells us that Herod was, as it well known, an Edomite by origin, a descendant of Esau, a converted Jew who was in place to kill the Savior. See this? Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting. It goes all the way down, folks. It goes all the way down to who? Herod, all the way down to the Bushes. Harriet Eleanor Fay, James Smith Bush, Sam Prescott Bush, Prescott Sheldon Bush, and George Herbert Walker Bush. And then from George Herbert Walker Bush, check this out, folks. Let me get it here. Let me show you here, if I can find it. As you can see, let me get it here. Former President Barack Obama. Let me show you. Barack Obama and George W. Bush have more in common than we thought. And the family goes all the way down to telling you that what? Barack Obama and George W. Bush are related. They are 11th cousins. It's all in the family. And when they put these ambiguous people in place, they know exactly what they're doing and who they're coming after. And at the end of the day, it's our people in the streets. It's our people suffering. It's our children dead through their legislation. There you go. These ambiguous people raised in Indonesia pops up in Hawaii, then all of a sudden out of nowhere becomes go to a black church. That's why we must delegitimize all of these black churches. Okay? And these HBCUs. And at the end of the day, they have a plan to kill the people who brought forth Christ. And guess what? It's so many of our people who have gone along with it. But guess what? The Most High has a judgment for them too. Now, before I open it up, next Wednesday we have a podcast backed by popular demand. We have a special guest who's coming on again, Demond, Pastor, Mr. Respectfully, Demond Wilson will be on next Wednesday along with myself, where we're going to ask him a few questions, right? What is the connection between Hollywood and politics? We're going to discuss the updates on what's going on with Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and the new people that are now being charged that no one is talking about and what that means. We're going to discuss the satanic rituals that's within Hollywood, as well as the political affiliations, that and more. And we're going to unpack a few more things out of his book, which was, man, well before his time. Whatever he put in his book, the Spirit of the Most High was on Demond Wilson when he wrote that book. There's so much insight prophetically that's just telling in our current time. And we're going to discuss that and more next Wednesday, backed by popular demand. The great actor and talent from Sanford and Son, Demond Wilson, will be on next Wednesday. And we're going to try to have an early broadcast next Wednesday around 3 p.m. Now, let me just announce real quick, we're in the new installment of our Hebrew and Bible Academy, which starts November 10th. Please go to historytimes.org to enroll. It's going to be impactful. The fall of the last empire is the theme. The fall of the last empire. This will be the academies of all academies. The news real time against what's going on with the elections. Who knows what's going to be happening at this time? Real news, Hebrew, as well as Bible prophecy, election outcomes, war in the Middle East, hurricanes, earthquakes, and really what's about to happen when the truck strikes happen after January. We're going to go into that. The fall of the last empire, we're going to have a prep symposium with some health gurus as well as those. We're going to have some whistleblowers, one from Canada that's going to come through and give some insight of what's really going on over there. And we're going to have some health tips so that our brothers and sisters can get themselves prepared for what's to come physically. The path to the mark, the final path to the mark, the return of the hidden gods, and the fall of America, which is the fall of the last empire. Get your seats. Get your seats while you can. Go to historytimes.org, and we do have a drop down in which you can actually pay and sponsor someone else if you would like someone else to come in. All right. If you would like to pay for someone, there's a sponsor option within the tab. And again, it's every Sunday from 9 to about 2, 3 o'clock. And you don't have to be present to actually view it. OK, all the content is recorded and sent to you in a link where you can view it anytime during the week at your own convenience. historytimes.org. Please enroll. All right. And if this interests you, for our weekly collections, if you would like to donate and help with these broadcasts, we have a new Cash App, $ GOCC report. Okay. GOCC report if you would like to send a donation to help the work. If you don't have Cash App, go to gatheringofchrist.org, hit donate, and I'm sure there's one of those options on the tab that you'll have to be able to donate to the ministry. All right. What say you? Let's open up the lines. Open up the lines. And on top of opening up the lines, we do have a Zoom connection for those who would like to come in through Zoom. We have a Zoom connection for those who would like to come in that way. So let's see. 1 second. Let's go to Blog Talk and see who we have on the lines there. All right. Let's go into Blog Talk. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you. Candace is on fire right now. And I suggest you brothers and sisters go back and look at the full series on Kamala. It's way more than what you think it is. It's exposing the children of Satan. These people are straight liars, but they are very intentional in their plans against us. Dangerous people, folks. They try to play dumb when the cameras are on, but these people are very intentional with undermining as well as destroying our people and getting us out of position and replacing us with their people. Replacing us in high positions with their people to undermine and or destroy us. They become our doctors, they'll become our pharmacists, and they'll do all the dirty work for Esau. Okay? It's time our people wake up, folks. 515-605-9327. Let me open up the lines. And let me tell you, even Christ said, if he didn't cut their time short, no flesh would be saved. These people are just pure evil. And I'm going to talk about that and more next Wednesday with Damon Wilson.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
All right. Let me turn it up some.
Unmuted.
Okay, we have 971 area code with your hand raised. We see you there. Let me bring you in. All right. Exposing the bloodline of the serpent today. What say you? 971.
Hey, Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, how are you?
I'm all right, sir.
Name and location.
Just calling in, Elder, because
Give me your name and location, sir.
I can't hear you.
Your name and location, please.
Brother Israel. I'm in St. Louis.
Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, man. I was wondering if there's anybody I could talk to off the phone with you, because they try to give me a COVID test in these homeless shelters.
Right now, you're in a homeless shelter?
No, not right now. I'm currently staying with a relative, but I'm going to have to leave. And I went to one today. They said I could stay, but I had to take a COVID test up my nose.
Well, I mean, you say you want to speak to us privately. What is it that you can't say now? I mean,
I didn't want to, be off topic,
Okay, well, the reality is,
show,
here's the reality, though, right? When you're at the behest of others, right, it really leaves few options. It really leaves few options. You have to more so work towards having a place, and maybe that's what you probably want to discuss. Are you baptized in the church?
No, man, I was trying to get baptized last time, but the deacon did not follow through with the baptism classes.
What area are you in again? What area?
What, the deacon, or you mean?
No, what area are you live? Where do you live?
Oh, St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, I'll have someone reach out to you in St. Louis, but usually how old are you?
I'm 41.
You're 41, and usually if you're 41 and you're homeless, there's some extenuating circumstances that have led you there, right? That must be discussed.
Yeah.
All right, so
yeah.
I can't say that we can fix your issues, if the underlying issues aren't addressed first. But more so than anything, I have your number, and I'll get someone to reach out to you.
Okay, thank you, Elder. The water.
You're welcome. All right, the water. Shalom. All right, Kevin has a question. I mean, not Kevin. That's Ra'ai. Ra'ai?
Shalom. Yeah, Shalom. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing all right. It's Ra'ai, my lawyer, coming out of Boston. I just wanted to bring a scripture that kind of like just bring context to the whole situation and the topic that you was elaborating on.
Okay, what scripture is that?
And it just kind of gives us like a 2 Peter 2:18.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. I'm there. Go on.
All right. 2 Peter 2:18 says, "For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness while they promised them, and this is the key point here, this is verse 19, while they promised them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. And, what I get out of that is that, coming here off the shores of the ships, they promised us all these things. You know what I mean? Making us believe that after the civil rights and everything that the Judites fought for, you know what I'm saying, that things will get better. And it seems like that promise never happened. You know what I mean? It's been a trick. We build an industrial system. The Judites build an industrial system. The Levites, they helped them get Louisiana. They helped founded Chicago. So we pretty much, gave them everything they had, just kind of like what we did in Egypt. You know what I mean? And we got no credit for it. And it's been a bunch of promises coming from, these promises that's speaking of that liberty.
Yeah, you're right on. The scriptures you're bringing is right on. But let me put something on the table here, right? A politician is going to be a politician, right? Right? But the question is, how long will our people fall for the foolery, for the nonsense?
Right.
And that's more so an issue than anything. These people aren't going to change. Like, for instance, these people know there's only two things that matters with our people. And we're saying it over and over again. The economy, you bringing these people over to destroy us and to undermine us, and reparations. Those are the only 2 to 3 things we care about. And yet, they are ignoring it intentionally. You think they don't hear it? So when is it's going to be, but as long as there's a faction of our people who accept this, then the politicians will continue to totally destroy and disenfranchise us. And I'll tell you this real quick. That's why we got to start identifying the people who get on this train every 4 years, believing that there's going to be a change through politics, through these politicians. We have to single these people out and understand that sooner or later we have to separate ourselves from these people. They're the problem.
For sure.
They're the problem. The politicians are going to be what a politician does. They're liars. I don't care what side you look at. But really, if you represent the people, they would actually come together and say, you know what? We're going to do exactly what's being requested from our main voting bloc. And that's not ignoring anyone else, but we're going to prefer the people who vote us in from one administration to the next. Not to say we're not going to give anybody else something, but we're going to really focus on those who keep us in office. And it seems like we're the people who are generally ignored. But the gays, who are the minorities compared to us, the Asians and other people, they take precedence over us. And I wonder how long our people are going to sit back and allow this to happen, right? And that's the point I want to make. Politicians are liars. They're liars. But how long is going to be before our people wake up in number and realize that these same people that have aligned themselves with us are destroying us? Thank you, my brother. That's the point I wanted to make.
Right. I was going to, for sure. And it's spot on. And, another thing I wanted to add, it's like, and that's why one of the biggest speeches that MLK had, everybody remembers the dream speech that they shove it down your throat in the public schools. But the last real speech that he had was, I led my people to the burned down house. And I think he was speaking about the civil rights bill. You know what I'm saying? How he actually made things worse, trying to be their equal, than separating ourselves from them.
Well, at the end of it, the last true message King left before the assassination was reparations. That's what he was marching to Washington for next. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. So again, in the bar. Okay. No one cares about intersexuality. No one cares about the price of insulin. No one cares about aiming abortion towards our people. Go back to where your people are and push that, which is immoral in of itself. You notice there's a common thread with all of these politicians. It doesn't matter where they're from. At the end of the day, it's about killing the tribes of Israel, predominantly the tribes of Judah at birth. And that's what I highlighted throughout this broadcast. The serpent's true intentions against God's people. And they're all related, folks. Politicians aren't elected. They're selected. Shade has a comment. Shade.
Hey, Elder, how you doing?
I am blessed by the best, and his name is AHAYAH. What say you?
Hey, blessed, man, out here in California. It's good to hear you. Again, you know what? I just had a comment. I just found out, I don't know if you had looked into this, but Bill Gates is being sued right now, I believe, in the Netherlands. And you wouldn't believe what he's being sued for.
What's that?
He's being sued for damages because of the COVID-19 vaccine that he supported.
I'll tell you what.
His resources too.
Hold on. Let me just pull it up so that, because they're big on this YouTube misinformation thing. So let's see.
Okay. But
hold on. I'm very careful with this channel.
Go ahead, brother.
You said the Netherlands?
Yes, the Netherlands.
All right, let me check this out.
I can't think of the publication, but it's the Netherlands. Okay.
All right, so let me read this off of Lou Dobbs, so that they'll know that it's real news, and it's nothing. It's not misinformation, right? And then I'm gonna let you.
Right.
Now that it's been substantiated, because don't forget, during COVID they struck our page claiming that we said something against a protected, what they call this, a protected figure.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He's protected, all right.
Yeah, they said that we're not supposed to speak against a protected figure, and it's stated that we bullied Bill Gates, and we got a strike during the virus about that. So I'm very careful.
How do you
Listen, I don't know.
That's crazy.
I mean, what applies for the rest of YouTube doesn't apply for us, okay? Well, it says here.
Yes.
It said. Let me read this, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you. Bill Gates ordered to stand trial. Lou Dobbs. Bill Gates is ordered to stand trial in Netherlands in November over COVID vaccine injury claims. Ordered to pay legal costs as Dutch court dismisses jurisdiction claim. So, did you know that the Dutch court dismisses the claim?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So, don't forget that there was a law passed that would excuse the government and others from liability in order for them to distribute this under an emergency, under a pandemic and emergency. So, believe it or not, these particular companies, Pfizer and others, they had to have the protection of liability, of not being able to get sued in order to produce these particular vaccines. So people can sue them, but there's no jurisdiction under an emergency pandemic scenario. So it's really up to the people to understand. Yeah, it's up to the people to understand the rules there and say, well, okay, if it's an emergency thing that, you know, wouldn't have gotten passed otherwise outside of this emergency, then you will weigh whether or not, as an individual, you'll like to take those risks, because you can't sue nobody. There's a vaccine pool that's distributed each year, and once that fund is depleted, no more money can come out of it when it comes to injuries. So it's up to the person to say, you know what, as far as this church is concerned, we believe in total natural. We don't believe in that stuff, because we'd rather take the risk of not doing it than the risk that comes with some of the adverse effects. That's our stance on it. Right? But go on. Now the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, brother, for clarifying that. I know I looked at that title in there, but I was just thinking what really got me when I read it and looked at the title, I was just thinking, like, man, back at, you know, during that time where, you know, a lot of people out of fear were doing things that they wouldn't normally do, and now we're starting to see, you know, things start to happen legal-wise, and people are still, just in my area, I'll tell you, so I'm in Central California, people are still like mesmerized. They're like in a trance when it comes to this political race. This campaign is getting ready to happen, and people are, you know, just following just some craziness, like things that just don't make logical sense. And I just remember a time where our people didn't think that way or act that way. We were more common sense, logical, and now it just seems like we've kind of lost that base. Even though there's a large group of us that are, you know, waking up to it, there's still many people that are asleep, and it kind of saddens me.
Well, brother, I'll tell you this. At one point, I thought it was just our people. But with some of the discussions I'm having on the outside of here, it's not just our people. There's a lot of white people that are totally unhinged and are totally illogical, out of their minds also. You got a lot of women talking about, no one can tell me what to do with my body. I'm like, excuse me. And I say this to this woman, this white woman. I'm like, realistically, when has there ever been a scenario where someone told you what? When did you ever get any pushback? Doing what you wanted to do with your body? I just asked her, and she's looked at me. Her head almost turned around like the Exodus. Like, is this a black guy talking to me like this? I just asked her though. I'm like, if anything, America encourages women to do whatever they want to do with their bodies with no pushback. So I don't understand this thing that you think that somebody's going to get in position as if the president's going to knock on your door and try to stop you from doing what you want to do with your body. That doesn't even make any sense. And see, and because these people are really, believe it or not, walking empty corpse, they just tout the talking points that's given to them from TV. They really don't have any points outside of what's given them. When Barack Obama states stuff like, well, about the brothers, you know, I mean, there's a lot of misogyny going on. There's a lot of misogyny when it comes to, you know, the brothers, and they don't want a woman in charge. And next thing you know, you got other people are saying, well, I think that a lot of people don't want to vote for Kamala because they just don't want a woman in charge, because they really don't have any talking points. And let me tell you, these people study psychology at its height, these politicians, to actually give people the talking points to have something to defend. When there is no defense we still don't know what platform she's running on. So they give them the talking points.
Yeah. She ain't got one.
Yeah, she don't have any talking points.
She don't have one. She don't have no talking points. And when you hear her speak, man, it's kind of like hearing one of my high school students do a presentation they didn't prepare for. It's just craziness when you hear the lady speak. I'm like, and I'm telling you, even people close to me, man, still just are mesmerized. I'm like, about what? I don't understand. She's not saying anything about policy. She's not saying anything that will benefit us. And then she straight out said, no, I'm not doing anything specifically for black people. This is for all, or this and that. So it's nothing. We're not getting nothing out of the deal. Just like every 4 years, we never get anything out of the deal. So I don't know why people are still lining up, listening to, this rhetoric that she's coming with every time she speaks.
Man, listen. Listen, I haven't heard anything intelligent coming from her since she's been out there. She's not a good speaker. There's no one thing she does well. She's the worst politician in the history of politics. There's not one thing you can hang your hat on when it comes to her, and it makes you wonder, like, what's wrong? What's wrong with our people? But I'll leave her there. She has nothing to do with us. The truth is being revealed on her, and at the end of the day, these people, the Democrats in particular, does more harm than good. And if there is any good the Demonuts or the Democrats have done, I'm waiting to hear about it. I'm open to hear, what have the Democrats ever done to benefit our people? Anything. Thank you, my brother. Great point.
Anytime that...
okay.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
And don't talk about civil rights, right? Don't civil rights. Hey, civil rights have benefited the Jews more than us, gays more than us, everybody else, East Indians, Muslims that are coming over here under the black and brown coalition. So no, civil rights haven't benefited us. If anything, civil rights was the Trojan horse they've used to destroy our people. Yeshua has a comment. Yeshua. Joshua.
Yes. Blessings, brother.
Blessings. You have a question?
Yeah, question and comment. First off, I just want to say great job. I watch you often, been watching for years. I love the discipline you have. I love the sternness, the braveness that you have to stand for what's right. I just want to put that on the forefront first.
Praise the Most High.
I finally got a chance to speak with you.
All praise be to the Most High. Thank you. Go on.
Just a quick question. Having a little bit of difficulty, so I just wanted to ask from a different perspective. If people were throwing a party for you and throwing parties for you and not allowing you to attend those parties, can you give me some kind of insight of how to calm down or how to accept that people just don't know me? I'm seeing a whole bunch of conversations. I see all the talk. I watch the church services. I watch everything that's going on. And here I am with the identification of the person that everybody is speaking about. And it's not coming to any avail besides me doing it by myself.
Okay, brother. Well, you're speaking ambiguous here. I don't understand what you're talking about in particular. Can you be direct with what you're talking about in specific?
Yes, sir. I guess I'll stick with the first question first so I can get just a stabilized foundation. How would you feel if people were consistently throwing parties for you and then wouldn't allow you to attend the parties? How would that make you feel?
Okay. Let me ask a question in return. Maybe this will clear it up. How could someone throw a party for me and me not be present? If I'm not there, is the party for me?
Okay.
I'm asking.
It would be no. It would be no.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is answered.
That's yes, sir. Also, I have the answers that we're looking for. So, when, like the caller just mentioned about Martin Luther King said he saw the mountaintop, and nobody has done the research outside of maybe a select few. The mountaintop that he was referring to was Mount Nebo. There are 4 Mount Nebos, 3 in America. That is the promised land.
Hold up, brother. Yeshua. I don't believe the brother was asking you for that answer concerning the mountain. What's happening here?
I'm sorry, I was just elaborating on something it sounded like he wasn't sure of.
Oh, no, he was. He was.
Just giving.
Let's back this up real quick. How old are you?
41.
Who's your teacher?
God.
Okay, this is what you're going to have to do, brother. The Bible states that when one would be a teacher, he must learn again, which be the first principles of the Almighty. You must get under a teacher. All right?
Okay, is that a principle or something I did to upset you or change the conversation?
Brother, listen.
Elaborating on what you said before.
Brother, I'm helping you out. Because you are expounding on some things, but you need a reference point. You need guardrails. You need a foundation that we can provide. You need a teacher.
Okay.
All right? And I'm here for you.
The promised land isn't foundational scripture?
Brother, that ain't the point. I mean, it's like you took the conversation into left field. This topic today, let me give you the quote of the topic here. Exposing the bloodline of the serpent.
Okay.
All right? So what I'm saying, but I've spoken with people on the lines of where you are right now. And brother, you need to be guided. You need a teacher. Okay? So that you can have a frame reference. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good. I believe that if you get guided, you would be an effective teacher. All right? But right now, that
blessings, Elder.
All right? So just what city and state are you in?
I'm in the Twin Cities right now. So right now, as I'm speaking with you,
what city are you in right now?
Some kind of pressure of the Twin Cities.
Okay. We have a church there. Would you like to come through and learn?
Well, as I'm speaking now, I'm still feeling a certain pressure of just shut up and be quiet. And I'm just really trying to have a conversation with one of the elders, from my understanding.
Well, brother, we can have
So I'm not sure how.
Okay. This is what it is, right? This is like a podcast where people call in and bring their perspectives on the topic. A conversation is something we can have separately. You don't have to be offended. But the whole thing is, we're teachers here. And when you bring a perspective that no one asked you about, then that throws the whole broadcast someplace else. Right? And you probably don't even know you're doing it.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure your purpose is to contribute to the broadcast. So I'm letting you know the way you were bringing this is moving the whole broadcast off the rails. And it's not to offend you. I've dealt with brothers like you before, and it's good because you got a lot of zeal in you, but you need a teacher. I'm not.
Can I just say one more thing before we?
Sure.
Before we finish this conversation, I just want to say it very clearly. My name is Yeshua. I am the one that is spoke of in that book we call the Bible.
Okay.
And I don't know how.
I'm gonna show you, brother. I'm gonna show you how we pop this right now.
Because
this is how we pop that one right now. Okay. You are not YASHAYA. Okay. Don't do that. You in the wrong lane, brother. The last thing you want to do is claim to be him. Okay. That's the last thing you want to do, my brother. Okay. A matter of fact, I'm going to entertain this for a minute. Okay, brother. Are you there? Yeshua?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
I challenge anybody on the planet to prove that I'm not. First off, I don't want to.
Hey, brother.
Think that I'm
Hey, brother. This is what you're not gonna do, brother. What you're not gonna do is overtalk me when I'm talking. That's what you're not gonna do. Okay, because no one calling in to where you are. So I'm gonna bring you on again, and you're gonna listen, and then I'm gonna listen to you. Okay, now are you ready to listen?
Yes, Elder.
Okay. When you say that you are Christ, what exactly are you saying? Are you saying that the Christ is written of in the Holy Bible, that's you? Yes or no?
Yes, I am Yeshua.
Okay.
In the Bible.
Okay. All right. That's fine. All right. So, give me some insight on your interaction with the 12 disciples.
12 disciples or the 12 tribes?
Come on, man. I ain't entertaining this. Good night, young man.
I'm not.
323 area code. Lord, let me tell you. You get past 10 o'clock, boy. I'm going to tell you right now. Man, it's Wednesday night. The hookah lounges are open. I don't know what's going on. 323, say no. Just say no. 323 area code. Shalom. Oh, please tell me that you're not Miriam, okay? Lord, have mercy.
I just wanted to know, did you see Kamala Harris at New Birth Baptist Church?
Yeah, I seen it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wasn't that crazy?
Oh, sister, Mika, I'm sorry. I gotta put you on hold. There's a lot of ticking and white noise, all types of stuff going behind there. Please get into a quiet area, Mika, and I'll call you in a moment, okay? I mean, I know lawyers somewhere just holding his stomach right now. I never thought that we'll be living in a time where we'll be called from a brother in the Twin City who says, no, I'm that man in the Bible you talking about. I'm like, yeah, you Christ, huh? Tell me about the 12 disciples. Oh, what you want, that or the 12 tribes? No, this is what happens. You know, and you get put on permanent hold. All right? See? That's how that works. Right? And this is why it's hard for our people to come. This is why it's hard to bring our people, you know, to guide our people through this, man. This is if you think this is something, wait until we get in the wilderness. And that's why, let me tell you, that's why I don't claim to be nothing more than a servant. He's like, man, I'm shooting for the top of this thing. And the Bible states clearly what would happen in the earth once Christ returns. Okay? You can't, let me tell you, you can't be doing that. And, you know, there's some requirements prophetically when it comes to that. Like, that means we're out of captivity when Christ returns. Stuff like that. We're placed back in Israel. Rome is destroyed by Christ. The 12 tribes are gathered. Come on, man. He's on the phone, man, picking at his navel, talking about, yeah, I'm Christ. No. We don't do that. 586 area code.
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
How you doing, brother Mark? You are the Mark from our.
Hey, how are you?
Hold up, Mark. You are the Mark from our current time, correct?
Current time, what you mean?
I'm just being facetious. We just had a guy on just said that he's Christ in the flesh here, so I was just being a little facetious. you brother Mark.
Oh.
you know. Next
yeah,
thing.
Brother Mark.
Okay.
oh no, not like that. Yeah.
You're the 2000.
Question, but
you're the 2024 version of Mark. And that, right? Next thing you know, we have a call from Luke next. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I'm 2024 Mark. I want to see if I could jog your memory. I have a question, but I want to see if you remember who I am. I used to call you back in 2009, 2010. That was when you was traveling around the world, and I was the guy that was calling you from Southfield, Michigan. Does that jog on memory?
Yeah, I remember. That's a long time ago. How you doing, my brother?
That's a long time ago. Yeah. How you doing, bro? Well, I have a question, because this is a struggle for me. I don't want to end up in saying anything like that, but I've been seeking, and I actually spoke to you about this then, but I've been trying to seek the Most High for a wife and don't know why I have not received that yet.
You got to do things. You got to do what a man do that wants a wife. You got to find a woman, and ask her for a hand in marriage and get on with life. What's the hang up?
Well, okay, so. Because I get confused with how you're supposed to go about that. So if I can just go out and just seek and just do my own thing and trying to find one, or am I just supposed to wait for him to do something, or do I just do this on my own?
Well, I believe that you got to do this on your own, brother. You had a girlfriend before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
girls,
well,
yeah.
Okay, well, you had a girlfriend. Well, guess what? You understand.
But I did that on my own, and there was just girls, and
No,
and all of that.
Let's just start with one girl. You understand?
Okay.
You understand the steps of engagement when it comes to dating, right? To actually have a girlfriend. Right?
Right.
Yeah, just move that thing into the next phase. I hope you ain't sitting on your couch waiting for a rib to come up out of you next to you.
Okay, so I can just go out on my own and just seek, just do my thing, just do me. And I don't really have to pray for that. I don't have to really seek the Most High for
well, I'm
any
sure
of that.
You've been praying since, brother, you've been praying since 2009. But how do you know if the prayer has been answered if when she's next to you, you sitting there, ain't saying anything to her? Let's flip this.
Okay.
What would be your example?
All right.
Let's flip it. What would be your example to know that the Most High have sent you a woman? What would you need to experience to know, okay, the Most High sent her to be my wife?
Okay, well, here's two scenarios. You have Jacob that went out because his father told him he didn't want him to marry the women where he was at. So he went out, he seeked work, and he ended up finding Rachel and Leah. But now with Isaac, it was a little different. with Abraham, he said
Oh,
the
I
servant.
no.
And
I'm
the
at
servant
brother.
said to
No. I want to keep it on you. I need you to give me an example, a real-time example. You go outside, you go to a store, you go to work, do whatever you do in your daily routine. What within that routine would show you that the person or girl you're interacting with or seeing out there, what does the Most High have to show you through this woman to know that that can possibly be your wife?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Well, okay.
It would just be as normal as me speaking to a sister, you know.
Okay, let's do this. Right? I know in your mind you got a preference, a type of girl or woman you would be attracted to. Right?
Yeah.
Have you seen any of those lately?
Yeah, I've seen one today. I was making. I am a trucker, and I've seen one that I was delivering. We basically, the company that I was delivering to, I don't want to say online, but the company I was delivering to, it says it on my truck. So I was delivering the product to the store, and I approached her.
Okay, what happened? What happened?
And basically, I gave her my phone number.
You approached her, and how did she respond to your approach?
Oh, I mean, it was normal. It wasn't a uninviting vibe. It was pretty cool.
Well, I think you're on your way, aren't you?
No. No, because I haven't received no phone call, so I'm just like, no.
Okay.
I gave her.
Okay. Listen. I'm not flipping into Kevin Samuels tonight, right? May the Lord rest his soul.
Okay.
But let's put it this way, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
You can't be awkward. If you are attracted to the woman, you go to the young lady and say, "Excuse me. I just wanted to know, I mean, you seem attractive to me, whether or not you would like to go out and have, a cup of tea or something to drink." Okay, and what was your response? You invited her, for a cup of tea or, something to sit down with coffee or something. And what was the response?
I gave her my phone number. I didn't do it like that. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of old school. That ain't how we do it now. But
that is old school.
I just was like, hey, my name is Mark, and I was like, I would like to take you out sometime. So
okay,
I
that's
give my
nice.
phone number. If you're interested, give me a call.
Okay, well, the next time, brother, what you would probably want to do is, probably go to the sister and see if she'll give you her number, and or you've been following us for a long time. There's a lot of single sisters in the church that is following the Most High. We have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of sisters, single sisters. So if you give the example of Rachel and Leah, become a part of the body with no intentions involved in finding a wife. Don't come to the church to find a wife. You come into the church to actually be a part of the body and be guided by the Almighty. And I'm sure, how old are you?
I'm 35.
35. Okay. There you go. 35. You're a young man. Come to the church, and I'm sure there'll be women there, good women who believe in the Bible that could be viable options. That's the only thing I would suggest. All right.
Okay, another question. Well, she the woman that I spoke to, she was 23. What age do you think is age appropriate for my age?
Well, listen, she's a grown woman. She's 23 years of age.
All right.
You know, find out what's going on with her and, you know, see if she, you know, is willing to walk virtuously as a daughter of Zion. Make sure that she's not messing around with someone. It's hard to find people out there that isn't. And I don't think I'm giving you any insight that you don't, any understanding that you don't know already. The only advice I can give you is to come into the church, because at least you understand that there's women who fear the Most High there, who are seeking men of like mind.
I came to the body in Detroit with Elder Dale.
Yeah. He's still there.
I came here one time.
Oh no, I can give you a number. I'll take down your number. Elder Dale is actually monitoring the comment section right now. I can take down your number and have Elder Dale talk to you. All right. But it seems
That's fine.
Seems like you kind of shy, huh? You one of those shy men.
You say what?
Seem like you can't.
No, I'm not shy. You know, I see a beautiful sister. I'm going in. You know, this is the first time I saw her. So, you know, when I seen her, I went on in on her. She was a beautiful girl. I asked my man about her because he was like the store manager. I was like, hey, how old is she? He was like 23. I was like, she got any kids? And he was like, no, not that I think. I was like, you know of a dude? Like, did she go around, you know? He was like, I don't think so. So that's when I went in, you know.
You went in. All right, my brother. Well, listen, I pray that it all work out for you. And I'm going to give Elder Dale your number.
Have him call me. That's fine.
Elder Dale. Hey, so this is what happens when you broadcast past 10:30, huh? Lord have mercy. I think that's my cue. Brothers and sisters. All right, Elder Ramar, I believe that I'm hearing your microphone. But yeah, that concludes our broadcast. Next week we'll be on with Demond Wilson from Sanford and Son. He's going to give us some insight on the elite, what's really going on. What's really going on when it comes to the elite, the connection between politicians and the entertainment business. What's really going on? And he's going to give us an update on his perspectives when it comes to the P. Diddy case and Kamala Harris next week. All right. Hey, listen. No more 11 o'clock broadcast for me, all right? No more 11 o'clock. Like, what's going on, Elder Ricard Shiar? I really want to kick it with this girl, but next thing you know, he be like, yo, Elder Ricard, write me a song for her. I can do that. And then we had a guy who called in tonight as a second coming of Christ. You know. That concludes our broadcast. Exposing the bloodline of the serpents. The serpent seed. Okay? The politicians, the Democrats, are of the devil. With that, I'm going to say shalom. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not, and keep in mind, the Most High is calling back Israel. Go to historytimes.org and be a part of the Hebrew Bible Academy as we dive into the fall of the last empire. Good night. Lord have mercy. Well, the children of Israel, and we're back.
The east is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. So we be Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, yeah, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. AHAYAH's gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint to gather our wives and children, then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. AHAYAH gathered us in Colombia. Reuben from Australia. Issachar, the Mexicans. AHAYAH's gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes. Benjamin, the West Indians. Levi, the Haitians. AHAYAH's gathering